What was your take on what we saw last night?
Well, a couple things. First of all, I thought your intro there was right. I thought Carly Fiorina did very well in the first debate. She did very well, and I think she helped herself a lot. I also would give a strong second to Rick Perry, who I thought did very well also. I was very disappointed that he had no economic growth program. I mean, the economy and jobs is still the number one issue in this country. And that's what all the polls say. So I was waiting for him to come out, here's my corporate tax cut. Here's my individual tax cut. Here's my deregulation of Dodd-Frank and the EPA. Here's how we're going to grow the economy at 4%. I'm the greatest job creator in the world. Here's how we're going to do it. He didn't do any of that. And the only time he even touched on it was his protectionist trade statements about China and Mexico. He always attacks China, and he always attacks Mexico. And let me just tell you, maybe that strikes a chord with some people, okay? I get that, but let me just tell you, as an economist, Mexico is our second largest exporter, Steve. So if you slap a 35% tariff on Mexican trade, you are going to damage American businesses big time. And China is our second largest trading partner for exports and imports. You slap a 35% tariff on them, you're going to do big damage to imports. To business and consumer imports and exports. Rubio had a good growth message. Kasich had a good growth message. Bush had a good growth message. Donald Trump did not.
Yeah, all right, agreed. I think overall, the way they went after Trump, or let me ask you, do you feel that they went after Trump, that he was treated unfairly, that they were looking to get him, especially Megyn Kelly, right off the bat?
I thought so. I agree. I didn't think the question about would you run as an independent was off base. All right, I thought.
No, I agree. Yeah,
but when it came to Megyn Kelly. To me, Steve, I felt it was a gotcha question, and Trump started to laugh it off with Rosie O'Donnell, who I also think is a big jerk. And then she starts quoting him from other tweets, and she didn't say who the tweets were. And, yes, I think Trump was unfairly treated at that point. I absolutely do. But, I thought most of the debate, was good in terms of substantive questions. But not on the economy. They didn't give enough time to the economy.
Well, I know what you liked. Obviously, the Bush 4%, right?
I do, and yeah. I want lower tax rates across the board. I want lower deregulation across the board. I want a sound U.S. dollar. That's what I'm interested in, and they just didn't give enough to that. Now, maybe, look, CNBC, we're going to have our debate in October. I'm going to be out there in Boulder, Colorado. So we'll be the ones that do the financial and economic stuff. But I will give kudos. I'm going to give kudos on look, jobs and growth, Steve Malzberg, they're essential. Take a look at the polls. They're essential. So I thought Rubio did good. I thought Kasich did good. I thought Bush did good. And actually, I'll add Huckabee. I don't happen to agree with Huckabee on the fair tax, but it's okay. It's a consumption tax, and it's the flip side of a flat tax. So I think those guys did pretty good on economic growth. I don't think Donald Trump did a thing. I mean, what did he say? He says, I went bankrupt 4 times, or he did. His company, his gambling casinos went bankrupt 4 times. But he said, I'm smarter than the bankers, and I got out of it.
I couldn't agree with you more. If they didn't pick on him, as we both agree they kind of did, especially Megyn Kelly, I think people would have come away from that debate saying, Donald Trump, was he even there?
Right. Good point. It's funny. What you hear a lot, you and I have talked about this, a lot of ordinary middle-class Main Street Americans think that the economic system is rigged against them. They think that. Here's Trump bragging about how he got out of bankruptcy 4 times. Well, he sounds like a guy who's rigging the system. Now, I'm not saying he did anything illegal. I'm just saying it wasn't a very constructive answer. And the other thing he said that bothered me a lot was, he gives donations to both political parties down through the years. Okay. As a businessman, I guess I can understand that, although I don't happen to like that. But okay, fine. But then he says, I give them donations so they do what I want them to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he goes on and said, and I gave Hillary a donation so she'd come to my wedding. Steve,
Yeah.
To me, it struck me as very unpresidential, and I'm sure he's got a following out there and all the rest of it, but I didn't like it. And
well, what about? Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. That was a very strange thing to say, and also I thought Rand Paul interrupting and jumping in, and I thought he does look like the child in the room to me.
Boy, right? He's got his followers about the national security wiretapping, but he looked awful. He looked like he hadn't taken a shower in 3 days. And he needs badly, Steve, he needs a hairdresser. He needs somebody to deal with his hair because he's looking like a wild man. Now, I'm a guy that doesn't have a lot of hair, so it's not a really big problem for me. I can run a comb through my 8 hairs. But he's a young man who's got a lot of hair, but it looks like he hadn't washed his hair in 3 days, and he really needs a barber. I mean, geez.
Larry, sometimes you go out on a high note, and I think that's a great way to let you go. That was wonderful.